In what areas do you think your tax dollars should be spent?
There's several different areas that need to be concentrated on. I believe that the streets should be taken care of and maintained all the time, right? But the roads here are just atrocious.
No, in general, everything's pretty good. I think we should spend a little bit more on defense.
Well, my children are young adults now, so I can't really comment so much on the childcare anymore. However, I do work with lots of young parents, so I do see the value in having more accessible childcare. Here, certainly, childcare spaces are minimal, so I hear a lot of people speaking about that. I also work in healthcare, so I think investing in healthcare is super important. As a generation that's also has elderly parents, it's certainly important to invest in our healthcare. And so those would definitely be big investments for sure, and that's where I'd like to see my tax dollars go.
The way that it impacts me the most is accessibility and areas of inclusion for children with disabilities. Like my son, for example, has Down syndrome, and finding childcare for him is next to impossible. I worry about what his life's going to look like when he goes to kindergarten, if he's going to have enough supports, if there's going to be, enough teachers' aides and people to help him get the most out of his education. So I think that's an area that our tax dollars could definitely benefit going towards.
Definitely mental health, housing, and childcare.
My heart just bleeds for people who don't have proper housing. So I don't think it should be free, but I think it should be workable.
Improving infrastructure, trying to manage the healthcare crisis.
Improving public services, healthcare, hospitals, roads, infrastructures, staffing of healthcare, that sort of thing.
I think back to the basics. I hear about a lot of money being spent on things that look nice and seem really sweet, but healthcare is suffering. Roads are suffering. All the things that tax dollars early on were invented to pay for seem to be getting neglected in replacement of programs that look nice, but they're not serving the whole of the population. The majority of the population are not getting what they're paying for. Seems special interest these days more so.
That's a good one. I think they should be spent with some programs to help for affordable housing. Healthcare is always number one as well for me.
I think that there's a lot of social problems that we're seeing lately, particularly with the rise of costs of everything. And I think people who've been living on the margins are really suffering right now. And we've seen an explosion in homelessness, and housing has gone up all over the place. So I think housing is a really important thing that needs more money from all levels of government. And that's just a really fundamental, basic human need is shelter.
I think most of should be spent in the healthcare area. Across Atlantic Canada, there's a strain in the healthcare infrastructure. We don't have the enough manpower or the labor that we call it. And despite the local talents over here, the bridging qualifications becomes difficult because people come from the different geography and then they want to get into mainstream. So the licensing bodies create a lot of time, and in that case, the local people suffer over here.
We need to spend our tax dollars on education and infrastructure development. That's really critical if we're going to build the economy that we need in the future. A lot of that involves hardware, but some of it involves infrastructure and soft technology, as I call it, education. We have to be educating people for the future, jobs of the future, and that's so critical.
Education also needs, they have, their own difficulties, but I think that the medical system is, the priority right now. Yeah.
Well, for education, to continue to build new schools, for health, of course, more hospitals, also to recruit more doctors and nurses. That would be a benefit to the province. Infrastructure, I think we're doing a lot of it now as we speak, but also housing would be very important now that I mentioned that, because our vacancy rate is less than 1%, and that's an issue right now.
That's a difficult question because there's so many issues that we're facing. Healthcare is probably the biggest mental health care. There's another big one because it seems that we have so many problems that are happening around this great country of ours. You walk around the city of, even this beautiful city of Halifax, and you see people camped out in our gems of the city where we're supposed to show people what we're all about. There's homeless people living there. That's a sin, and I don't know what the answer is. So we have to fix the mental health issues and the health issues as well.
My tax dollars are supposed to be going to healthcare, but it's very hard to see with the waiting rooms, with the long wait times and stuff like that. So I just want to see more of my tax dollars being spent where they're supposed to be being spent.
On the people of Canada. Like right now, our Prime Minister gives more money away to all the other countries. All you got to do is say, I need something, and we're right there. Now, it's nice that we're giving away our money and tax dollars to all these other countries to help them, but there's enough poor people right here in Canada that we're not helping at all. As such, doctors. We don't have no doctors, but we want to bring in 1 million more immigrants with no doctors to take care of those 1 million more people.